Okay, I want to talk about a way of finding constant happiness. I think in the West, we invent a way of being miserable called making goals. Now, you might think making goals are absolutely necessary, and in some ways they are. Call them targets, whatever. But let me explain where this started. And so, some of you might know I'm trying to get married again, hopefully by next month or in 2 months' time, to a nice African Ghanaian lady. And I'm starting with this because I know she listens to the first 10 minutes or so. So, I had a conversation with one of my friends, and he said, "Aren't you excited about getting married? You know, isn't it exciting?" I said, "No, I don't get excited." Um, and she might be disappointed listening to this at first, but she kind of getting used to me. Um, and the thing is, the problem with getting excited is you envision a certain, let's say, goal or a way a thing will be, rather than enjoying the experience of what it will be. And often, if you're doing anything excited or not exciting, or you live an interesting life, it will be nothing like what you expect. So rather than having like a fixed goal of this was how it should be, um, and possibly spoiling the actual experience of being married. And being married is just the beginning of another journey anyway. It's not like an end goal. Um, so, in many ways, goals are very, very harmful. They fix a way certain things should be, and if it's outside that thing, you might be disappointed. You frame things incorrectly. Like if you think that a marriage is like a destination and not the beginning or part of a journey, then you're not really equipped for that journey. It's like, oh, I've arrived. Like, no, you just started. It's like there's a relationship with somebody. And all the way up to the goal, you would consider yourself unsuccessful or unhappy. It's the very bad if then. I can't remember how somebody phrased it. It was a very funny happiness talk. If then I will be happy, something like that. If I do this, then I will be happy. This is a very Western way of doing things, right? Rather than enjoying every day. If I get married, if I don't know, whatever, then I will be happy. And what I want to propose is the Islamic idea, which is life's a constant journey. Not even just this life, even the next life is not the end. It's a journey into infinity towards something really beautiful. And if you align everything in your life towards that, you will be happy every single day. And that beautiful thing that the Quran mentions is that life is just only to be at one with God. And it doesn't use those kind of modern phraseology of being at one with God. It is often loosely translated in the form of worship, um, but the proper word is ibadah, and ibadah is more like a journey. The journey to taking on the colors of God would be a beautiful way to put it. What do I mean by that? So God is described as the most generous, the rewarding, you got to be generous. Generous means giving stuff without expecting anything back and helping other people on their journeys, making them successful. If they apply themselves, get behind them and help them. Um, and I feel successful every day. And I feel sorry for people who set goals. I know loads of people who are just unhappy. Very few people do I know who are, I would say, are happy. Any thoughts? And I'm gonna have a go at you, by the way, Claire, because this is my style, right? Which is I value the person who I'm talking to, and I'm gonna make it about you. And I'm gonna say, is your secular Quranism goal making you happy? Or maybe I've misunderstood it, but I generally feel like you're not as happy as you could be. Anyway, go for it, Claire. I'll give you a chance to talk.
Um, uh, you're you're free to mock, but what do you think
I'm
would
not
make me
mocking. I
happy
don't
about
mock anybody.
secular
I feel
Quranism?
God, I don't mock anybody. I do everything I love, first of all. But yeah, go on, carry on.
But what do you seem to think that something else would make me happier, and I'm a little curious about what that thing might be.
Okay, cool. So I think the approach, if like, if secular Quranism is accepted by all, I know, millions of other people, then you will be happy. I don't think you should take it with that approach. You should say secular Quranism is a great idea and a stepping stone towards, let's say, Islam, right? Making Islam more accessible, possibly. And Islam is a beautiful thing. It helps people in their lives. And all you have to do every single day is just say, I did my best making it more accessible. Fantastic. There's no goal. If you make a goal, you can have a target like, okay, this is a stepping stone towards that journey towards God. Okay, that's fine. But if it's like, I am successful if I, according to this arbitrary goal I've chosen of secular Quranism being accepted by America or whatever it is you want, that is going to make you miserable in many, many ways. First of all, you're not successful until you achieve the goal. And when you achieve the goal, be an anticlimax, be like, okay, now what? Okay, like, and like, you weren't even like, what are the quality of the people who are accepting it? It looked like some, you know, person masturbating over porn. He's like, yeah, well done, Claire. I agree with you. There's another like on a video or something like that, right? It's like I just don't believe in these kind of arbitrary fixed goals. All you have to do is do your best, be generous, be kind, be helpful. That's it, every day, and you'll be successful. You'll be happy every day.
Yes, I actually quite enjoy doing what I do. So I think I'm already following your advice about enjoying the journey.
Okay. I mean, sometimes I do get the feeling you're pretty angry. You send me angry messages like, "Oh my God, how can you?" Like, it's like, you know, like, you're not getting enough views. Like, I'm doing my best. That's it. I don't care really. And often, like I said, like the quality of the kind of it's good to get more people learning, but more views is not necessarily good. I used to have loads more views on my videos. I don't miss them at all. When I had a lot more, you know, I was at Speaker's Corner and there was a lot more controversy. The quality of the comments were like zero quality, basically. Like just stupid people making stupid comments. But maybe I know people who are quiet and listening in weren't commenting. They would talk to me directly and say, "Oh, we watch your videos and we benefit from them," and stuff like that. But yeah, views are not enough for me, really.
So you think your viewership has gone down because you no longer go to Speaker's Corner? Is that what you're saying?
I guess so. Yeah, Speaker's Corner is a brand that works, I guess, but not the best brand. It's a brand for mostly people who want to fight, and but there are lots of. The reason why I want to go there, by the way, this Sunday coming, I guess, is because I meet people like you, a lot of truth seekers, but they don't turn up on the videos really, because the videos are usually targeting people as stupid. Especially the top YouTubers, they target really stupid people they can easily beat. They don't really go for interesting, thoughtful conversations. So yeah, so I go to Speaker's Corner. I don't. Yeah. So if an answer to your question, yes, probably my viewership. My viewership has definitely gone down since Speaker's Corner because it's a brand. Speaker's Corner is good in some ways, bad in other ways. Yeah.
So, which is your highest viewed video?
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if it was me. It was some Irish Imam, Ahmadi Imam, who turned up. He got quite a few views, about 70K, something like that. I'm not even sure, actually.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, I'd be quite curious. I mean, I suppose I'd be interested to know which one of the ones that we've been streaming on has got the most views. The the ones of you and me. So, but this is
probably
all
just a controversial one, like something about when I encourage people to, I encourage Islamophobes and they say they're a bit. But even if I did that now, I bet the numbers would have gone down because of some sort of effect of not being on Speaker's Corner for a long time.
There's actually a lot going on X, but I suppose one of the reasons why I get a little bit impatient is that you know X is the best place and you just disdain to use it. when it's all happening there. So if you do want meaningful conversations, that's
Mm.
where to go. And YouTube is a kind of it's old hat, basically. I mean, it's got
Okay.
all the features of being able to post comments and and being more searchable. But I think that the genuine conversations are now on X.
Okay. So genuine conversations, not just people being hateful and just spamming you and
Well,
stuff like that.
you still can get genuine conversations with people being
Okay.
hateful.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there
Okay.
is a
I mean,
lot
I'll
of hate,
try.
in fact, here.
Yeah.
But because X allows these feelings to be expressed,
Mm.
you're just more likely to get genuine, expressions that you can engage with.
Yeah.
Well, I think people on YouTube, they're afraid to even discuss the subject in case they get a strike or something.
I see. I see. Yeah. 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 Okay. I mean, I try. I think I just have lots of technical problems with X. I think right now it's not even streaming on X. I've got an exclamation mark next to it. Um. So maybe I'll figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this stream is now live on Twitter, so as
Yeah.
far as
Through
I know,
your
it's
one.
working. Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for
you
that.
can multi-stream, I guess, if you
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to
cater.
multi-stream, but I can see an exclamation mark, which means like an error, next to my X stream. Um, so I've always had a bit of a problem that I can never get around, but I'm gonna try. Maybe I should try a bit harder. Now that you're telling me that, I'm always learning. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so anyway, focusing on this goal thing. I mean, that's not really a sort of distraction, because it's like I'm not like I want to be. It, if I could put that little conversation in sort of a context of going towards goals and stuff, it's like I'm not like I want to be the most famous person on YouTube. Like, why YouTube? Why? It's like that's a bit arbitrary, right? I just want to help people, right? Whatever platform it takes. And maybe I started with YouTube, and maybe I end up somewhere else and stuff like that. And then being open to stuff, right? Like rather than being stubborn, like it has to be this and that. And that's what a goal is. It makes you stubborn about a very narrow way of looking at things. And a goal is also dependent, like a goal is something you make up based on a lack of knowledge about the future. Like, well, let me explain that a bit better. Like you might have a goal. Like I don't know, my goal is, let's say, to get to millions of people and help millions of people. But if I say it has to be YouTube, and let's say YouTube kind of becomes obsolete somehow, that's just stupid of me to depend on that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know about the future. So there's no point making a goal that is so definite when I don't know enough about the future. There should just be a general idea and you keep working towards it. And then you'll be more successful. Also, the more meaningful what you're doing is, the more successful you are going to be, because meaning actually drives human beings. So if every day all I do is like, oh, I'm going to keep working towards helping people, then eventually you'll be successful. There's loads of people who took a bit more time. There's some people who are very successful. I don't know, Mr. Beast or something, but he doesn't really teach anything particularly useful other than giving charity, which is a good thing. But otherwise, I don't think there's much meaning to a lot of these top YouTubers. So,
Well, I think in political activism, you do kind of need to listen a bit more, and I think a lot of people feel that they have to be the one talking to feel that they're doing something. When
mm,
I think listening would save you so much trouble. I mean, I'm thinking of this particular woman who, well, I mean, I think she must exhaust herself because her energy is concentrated on calling people out and making them say what she wants and basically badgering them and really you don't need them to agree with you as long as
mm,
there's somebody listening who might agree with you if you put your arguments clearly and succinctly enough. You don't
mm,
have to get any the person you're talking to say, oh, you're right, I'm wrong. You don't need that. You just need to have been able to communicate the um,
Yeah,
the
sure.
view.
And that's one of the problems with a goal, is that often it depends on other people doing what you want. You can't control other people, and then you make your life miserable because you're expecting other people to do this, that, and the other, like this lady you're talking about. And also maybe yourself, if you have a goal that it has to be this many people, 1 million people, that says, yes, you are a wonderful secularism person. Like, what is the quality of those people? How can you force those people to do what you want? I think if you, maybe it might what I sound like, what I'm suggesting sounds kind of maybe boring in some ways. Like, oh, if I help one person save their life, that's fantastic for me. Maybe that sounds boring, but if we, I think it's actually how human beings work, in the sense that we know some of our goals are arbitrary. Like, I want 1 million views. Okay, you get 1 million views, then you'll be dead, and that'll be the end of it, and people forget about you, right? But if you have a really meaningful goal, which is, I'm doing this for God, and God is the one who takes care of things and all that kind of stuff, then that goal never gets wasted. That gets taken into, let's say, infinity, because it's like, your God will remember that past this life and into infinity. Do you know what I mean? It kind of, people know, I think more and more people are realizing that a lot of their goals of making this much money and whatever is so depressing that they're more and more committing suicide. Like, suicide rates are going up, even though wealth levels are going up in many ways, because they know that what they're doing is random and arbitrary. You need to get beyond the random and arbitrary and do more meaningful things. Doesn't matter about all these random measures like views and likes and stuff like that.
Okay, you might say objective are a bit shallow, but supposing they don't matter at all, then what other criteria is there other than to engage properly with the person that you're speaking to, and possibly, just suppose there's just one person watching this.
Yeah.
What is the takeaway point that they can actually, take
What is
away
the takeaway
from
point?
this?
Let's try to say it in one sentence. Don't chase finite, arbitrary goals. The only thing that will make you happy is taking on the colors of God. That's an infinite journey, and it'll make you happy every single day, and you'll be successful every single day, therefore.
But what if somebody doesn't believe in God? They might think, well, we'll just have at least some utilitarian measure of the the purpose of this conversation.
Sure.
Did so does it even satisfy the conditions of being a conversation? Because if it's just you saying something and me saying something and us taking turns to say something, but not really engaging with what the other person is saying, the third party watching it will just sort of not see there to be a connection,
Okay, I'm
between
just trying
what was
to
said
break.
before and what is being said now.
Okay, so we're not randomly talking. In fact, I would say my material is far less random and arbitrary than most people's, and I'd love to see anybody contradict or explain how I'm wrong, right? So it's not random gibberish, first of all. So that's one thing. I'm not taking an insult. I'm just saying, like, it's not just you saying stuff and I say something and we just say random stuff and nothing happened. When I talk to people one-to-one, they understand what I'm talking about. Like, it's not a problem. So I'm quite confident that we're not just randomly talking. What was the other point you made?
What I'm saying is that if we're having a minute, a dialogue, a conversation, we should be engaging with, what the other is saying and developing the theme and maybe coming to a resolution, or
Sure.
even if we disagree, people will know what we are disagreeing about,
Sure.
and take sides either, rightly or wrongly, and they shouldn't be bored.
Okay, sure. So that's what we're doing, hopefully. I mean, if they're bored despite us saying useful things, that's okay.
Have we said
Because
anything useful though? I mean, you're just
Yeah,
going.
all the
You're
way.
just saying everybody believe in God, and they're just saying no, we
No,
don't.
no, I didn't say that. I mentioned goals. I said about setting infinite goals. Um, yeah, and I say
Well, you were
I
saying
said a lot.
not to
I said
set
a lot of other
goals.
things. Do you not? Would okay? So let me check if you understood. So, do you see the problem in setting arbit? Do you see how setting an arbitrary marker for success in the future will make you unhappy up to that point?
Well, I mean, there has to be some. Well, this is kind of what parents tell us. You know, you must have goals in your life. So I think maybe they're saying minimum standards. You know you need to have a goal in order to have a meaningful life. And I suppose you know, as somebody who believes in God, you might think, well, I want to pass the exam of you know, showing God that I know the difference between good and evil,
Hmm.
and applying those principles. Um,
But you didn't answer my question because you, I think, falsely. I'm not sure if you're trying to be controversial, but you ignored everything I said basically. Like I talked about goals and why goals. If you set goals that are relatively, they must be arbitrary because you just made them up, right? In some ways, they make you miserable all the way up to the goal because you defined yourself as unsuccessful up to the goal. When you reach the goal, it's often not like you expected. Then you're going to be another level of misery, okay? And then you forget that that goal is not the end; it's part of a longer journey. So you've actually made yourself unequipped for that journey by stopping and thinking you've reached somewhere, right? So do you remember telling you that in the beginning?
well, I suppose I'm saying
No,
you can have goals and still enjoy the
no,
journey.
no, like okay, now you're ignoring what I'm saying. Did you remember me talking about all these three levels or these three problems with setting goals?
Yeah, you're saying you may reach your goal and you'll still be unhappy.
Well, okay, I said a lot more than that. So, do you know why a goal can make you miserable up to the point you achieve the goal?
Um, yeah, because you get there, you're not happy, and then you think, you know, I've got another flight of steps to climb.
No, not
Or
that. Okay, so so a goal is maybe you haven't understood. So let me explain. A goal is a way of putting a marker to say if I achieve this thing, I will be successful. Do you agree that is a way of looking at a goal? It's a
yes,
success marker, right? Now,
yes.
do you get by definition, if you have not achieved that success marker, therefore you are unsuccessful? Do you get that up to that point?
Sure.
So now what you've done artificially, really, is created a point. You've created a hurdle for yourself to be unsuccessful. So you're viewing yourself until you reach that goal as permanently, not permanently, but until you reach that goal, you are unsuccessful and you are a loser. So you've created this artificial thing to make yourself miserable. Do you see the argument at least?
Yes. So
Sure.
you're saying if you set yourself goals and you don't achieve them, you might be depressed for, you
Even
know.
if you do achieve them, let's say you achieve it in 10 years, you're still miserable up to that 10 years. So you've made an
I'm not
artificial
miserable
barrier.
though. So I
No,
mean,
I'm
I
not.
don't, you know, it doesn't
Oh,
apply to
okay,
me as far as I can
sure.
tell.
Sure. But do you get okay, let's say in the general case, do you see if you say your own because maybe you haven't set only one goal, you've set lots of minimal small goals. And that's why you're not miserable because you've maybe had a developed a more meaningful approach to it, right? Which is good. We might go into, right? But do you understand in the general case that if you have a goal and that defines for you success, then until that point, you've decided you're a loser and unsuccessful, and therefore making yourself miserable. That's all. It's very simple, I think.
Well, you know, it's not just setting yourself a goal. Yeah, I mean, you have to think, well, is it a realistic goal? Is it, you know, a useful goal? and all these questions need to be said. Is it a girl that people around you would agree, would support you and admire you
I mean,
for,
these are all the
or is
wrong
it you're being
questions. Like,
stupid?
who cares what if everybody else agrees? If they're stupid, then don't do what. Like, just depending on what other people think is a really bad idea, and that's also an Islamic idea, by the way. You've probably heard from me. The verse of the Quran said, "If you follow the majority, be led away from the led away from the way of God, and the way of God is the best way anyway." So, I wouldn't depend on them. Like, so that's one thing. And
Well,
then
you have to
is
take
it a good goal? You
these
never know if it's a good goal.
consideration
It's
at
just
that
a
level.
vague direction. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would have to ask yourself whether it's realistic, whether it's socially desirable. For example, I could be a mass murderer and want to mass murder or
Hmm.
serial kill people,
Sure.
and maybe I don't want to be.
Sure.
It wouldn't be very a good idea to be the top serial killer, or that
Yeah,
would be.
so okay, fine. So that's why I said in the beginning, the only thing that will make you happy is this path towards God, right? And anything that there's a million things that could be on that way, right? And you said, oh, what if you don't believe in God? Well, first of all, you got to solve some mental issues, because it is a mental problem to not believe in God. I had that mental problem, right? Okay, to not believe in God, to not believe in a creator who made all this complex stuff, okay, doesn't actually make sense. It's really easy
Yes,
to
I know, but
um,
you can tell these people they're being
it doesn't
stupid.
matter. Forget those people.
Yeah,
If they
but
want to
no,
be
but
stupid,
you're
that's up to them.
they already know you're going to say that, and then they'll just get bored and they'll just
No, they won't,
switch
because
off because
eventually,
you're not using a new way to tell them to believe in God, right?
no, I am. I've used 100 different ways. So I think what you're doing is you're trying to ignore what I'm saying. It doesn't help you. Like, you're like, oh, you just said why when I said 100 different things, and you just only tell them the same thing again. And no, I've, like I said, a million different ways. That's fine. I have no problem. I don't mind you suggesting, like, I always take on your suggestions. You said, do marriage serious. Oh, that's a great idea. Do that thing, right? I've got no problem with that, right? But, like, to say you just do this and just do that, that's just like boring. It's not true. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done a million different videos on a million different topics, in different ways, but I think you're overly concerned with the reactions of other people that you can see. First of all, there's loads of reactions that you don't see. Like, I was surprised. Remember when we went to the Jalsa, this Ahmadi Muslim convention? I was surprised by every other minute, loads of people tap me on the shoulder and say, "Oh, we watch your videos and whatever." But I wouldn't get those same comments on YouTube. So I'm not really bothered. And even those people, they don't like make me think, oh, it was all worthwhile, and now somebody's tapped me on the shoulder and they watch my videos, because I don't know to the extent that which they really follow my content. I mean, like, follow my advice, right? So none of it really matters, other than, and it's really simple and it's really helpful for, I think, Westerners who got all their metrics wrong, okay, and they're permanently miserable, is to think, just do the right thing every single day and you'll be happy. Do work towards God, then you'll be happy. If you, like, are in denial about God, then that's a mental issue that you need to solve. Okay, just saying, oh, what if you don't believe in God? Well, then you've got to solve that mental problem. That's all it is.
Yeah, but
Then you start getting
what if they
happy.
think it's just stupid to believe in God? Well,
But then they're
you're
stupid. Like,
foregoing
it's
all these pleasures,
okay. Do you
for
believe the
nothing.
creator of my what's this? My air conditioning controller. Do you believe they're the creator of this? Right? Yes or no? It's really simple. The answer
Yeah,
is yes.
obviously.
Right. Obviously,
But,
right? That's the same
people
argument for
say
God.
that.
Obviously, God exists, but if you don't believe it, you've got a mental problem. I had a mental problem, and that mental problem was that I was told a lie, that we've got infinite amount of time, and anything can happen in that infinite amount of time from, not infinite, but 13.4 billion years is enough time to make anything happen. That's a stupid idea, right? Okay, and I have swallowed that crap. For all sorts of reasons. Maybe I wanted to do lots of bad things, and I wanted not to believe in God. That's probably part of it as well,
Yes,
So
yes, because
people have
people
mental problems.
choose to believe what they want to believe, and they have their unstated goals. Like, well,
Sure.
I want to have fun. I don't want to be saying no to all these, opportunities to have, extramarital sex, or
Sure.
whatever it is that they want to do. You
Sure.
know, gamble,
And
drink.
by the way, when I say people have mental problems, I openly say I have this mental problem. We all have different kinds of mental problems, right? Okay, and we need to keep overcoming them. We need to keep growing, right? So I'm not saying it's like an insult, really. Maybe it probably does sound like an insult, right? It's kind of like there's an abrupt way of saying it. So it's just like, you got a problem, you got to deal with it. It's not what if they believe in Buddhism, well, they better stop believing in Buddhism, or that Western version of Buddhism.
Yeah, I am actually engaging with this kind of thinking, which is to ask them a series of questions that, to make it seem more logical, emotionally and intellectually, to believe and not to believe. And I think because things are getting worse and they're more despairing of the future, they are more likely, but to entertain the idea of Sharia.
Who is David talking about? I mean, Islam's the fastest growing religion in the world anyway, right? So it's not like we're particularly failing. To be the fastest growing religion in the world is pretty good.
Yeah, we're trying to accelerate the acceptance of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We?
So there are lots of days.
And you do this by talking to them, and maybe not talking at them, and maybe showing that you understand what their problems are. Maybe they're alcoholics, maybe they're gay, maybe they're they don't want to leave their community of Islamophobes to join people that they regard as culturally alien, that they never liked. Maybe these are considerations for people who refuse to entertain the idea.
Yeah,
they don't want. Yeah,
we could. I mean, there's always a degree to which we might be talking at people rather than properly engaging with them. I would say a lot of people who are Islamophobes, like I mentioned to you, a Zionist who would regularly call me as his therapist, right? So I don't think I'm out of touch completely, but at the same time, I know that there's always, as being a human being, I've got endless weaknesses, right? So yeah, sure, I could work on it. If somebody tells me, this is how you're talking at people and you're not listening, then I'll work on it. But anyway, I'm trying to focus as much as possible to benefit the viewers in terms of the title. This thing, Beyond the Finish Line, A New Way to Live. I really want people to realize there are no finishing lines. It's a continuous journey, right? And you don't want it to be a finishing line. You want, I really enjoy I really enjoy spending 5 minutes every day on each of my projects, and I make a tiny bit of difference, and I publish it in different ways. So I've got an app, for example, which helps, basically it's a drawing app that understands what you want to do. You might think, what's that got to do with God and you're being at one with God? It's like making the world a better place.
About this app?
So it's an artificial intelligence app which I use for teaching, which has no buttons, and it understands what you want to do, basically. So if you're trying to draw a straight line, it will go, oh, you want to draw a straight line? It will perfect the line. If you're drawing like a graph of some sort, it will understand the graph you're trying to draw and draw it for you. It does all sorts of things, like, say you want to delete something. There's no button to delete. You scribble something out and then eraser pops up. And if you scribble out faster, if the eraser gets bigger, and if you go a little bit too fast, it'll just say, you know what, I know what you want to do. You want to delete everything on the screen. So it does lots of like smart things like that. And so that might be kind of geeky for somebody and they might not fully understand it. But like for somebody who kind of understands kind of the evolution of technology, what's been happening since the beginning of computers is making computers more easier to use. Like when my dad first used like the computers in the 1960s, maybe in Imperial University, when nobody had a computer except for the top universities, and the computer took the whole room. The only way you communicate with a computer is you'd get a whole pile of cards and you punch holes in them. There's no typewriter, no nothing, and it might understand what you're talking about after like days and days of punching these stupid holes, which are really hard to understand.
Specialized commands in DOS.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, DOS is way like I'm talking about way beyond before DOS. DOS is like way more friendly, right? So you got no keyboard, no screen, no nothing, just some sort of printout to say yes or no, to your days of work, right? So the point is that the mouse and all these things, these have been a massive like a step-by-step evolution in making computers easier to use, so that more people can use it and more people end up doing useful things rather than trying to operate the computer. They're actually just making the computer do stuff for you. The computer essentially becomes invisible. That's the idea. That's
So
pretty
it's
simple.
behaving like a servant that anticipates what you might want.
Yes, that's it. Exactly. Yeah. And so there's no buttons. You don't waste time pressing this button and that button. It just understands what you want to do. And it's really useful in teaching and things like that. And basically, not only so I use it as like a board that I use myself for teaching, but lots of teachers can use it in schools, and it's going to turn into a notebook. So because more and more students are going paperless, like they're just making all their notes on their tablets, right? So everybody's got more and more students have got pens that they use, right? The point is, what has this got to do with the kind of the goals? This is like people. I think this is a good example of how different you can say goals or targets that people might have that are on the path to God, right? So you might say, what has technology got to do with God? In fact, I would say God has always inspired people. Like, do you know how Google was invented?
No.
So the guy who invented it had a dream, and it was a really crazy dream that he would download the internet, and then he woke up in a panic and he started doing the math to work it out, and he said, "Oh, this might be possible," and Google is invented. So I would say I would consider that revelation, and I'd say there's loads of stuff like that. There's the Eureka moment. He's the guy who sat in the bathtub and said Eureka, and there's loads of like Mendel, was it, who invented the periodic table. There's endless examples of how people are inspired out of nowhere to create things, right? So the point is, God and technology are all one thing, right? It's not separate from God, and like technology just aids humanity in different ways. So if you make computers easier to use, you make education easier, you're improving things the world a bit better, that's just another way of doing things. You don't just have to give free sweets or give money or create water wells in Africa or something like that, right? There are many ways in which you can help humanity, and the way you might help humanity might be really different to the way anybody else can understand, because you might be a specialist in a particular area that most people don't understand yet, but they'll understand later on when they benefit from it. That's the idea. Yeah. So just the point is there are many ways of helping humanity. And so you might say, oh, isn't that a goal, right? So first of all, I keep publishing each step of my work. So it's not like if I don't have a goal, like if millions of people adopt it, then I'll be happy. It's like I'll just put it out there, and if they accept it, that's good for them. But if it doesn't take off, okay, I tried. But at the same time, people might say that's a terrible way, or that's a very defeatist approach, right? I would say the opposite. See, if you have this constant pressure, and this is what in the past when I was younger, I had this constant pressure of trying to achieve a goal, and then I'd be happy. Like X many people have to accept my app and whatever, and I'd give up because there'd be that constant pressure. But when you don't have that pressure, all you do is enjoy the process every single day. There's nothing stopping you, and if you never stop, you're gonna win. So it's just a matter of time. So I see it as it will be successful if I just keep going. So I think the seemingly defeatist approach is actually a relaxed way of just winning.
Yes, I mean, if you enjoy trying, then nothing would defeat you, because even if you fail, you'll say that you enjoyed trying.
Oh, and you absolutely have to fail millions of times as well. That's kind of important point. Like if you're trying to achieve a goal and you keep like, okay, if you have in your mind, I have to achieve this goal in 2 years, and every day you're failing, you feel like you're not getting towards your goal. You're like, oh my God, and you're constantly panicking, but you don't realize to achieve anything great, you absolutely have to fail a million times. But it's not failing, it's called learning if you enjoy the process. Do you see? So if you're rushing towards a goal and as if you have to be successful yesterday, which is actually most people in the West, they're like, I wish I was there yesterday. I know too many people who think like that, right? They don't literally say that, but that's their mindset. Okay, then they're always like panicking and they give up. But if you're just enjoying the process, you don't see it as failing. It's like, oh, okay, I learned something. Oh, and then you eventually, if you just keep at it, you actually achieve it. Like
Yes.
my tube's got a million things in it, and I've achieved them one after the other, and I didn't know how I'd do it in the first place. Sorry, go on.
Well done. So, have you ever converted anyone to Islam?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So when I was a kid, about 14, we were in a team of kids. We had like 45 converts in like 5 weeks, right? And since then, and then many of them kind of like were left, like, oh, they converted to Islam. They're all over London. And we didn't have the time to take care of them because we were on a mission to convert more and more people, right? And this is a really good example of, right, having arbitrary goals is not a good idea. And that kind of, and there was a whole bunch, there's another team who are older people, older boys who are kind of working just with boys. That's the way Muslims are organized. The kind of boys do this, girls do this other stuff. Like they might have their own teams. Anyway, so I had a lot of, let's say, success in that sense, but I look back at it and go, oh, that was a learning thing. Like I learned a lot of things about stepping out of my comfort zone because I was just a kid and I never preached to people in the streets and stuff like that before. So I learned a lot of things, but I also learned that just getting people to convert is not enough. Like it's you've got to stick with people, you've got to help them through their journey of being converts, a whole bunch of other stuff. So I've kind of left that behind. So yeah.
Did you have the chat up line?
I probably did have all sorts of ways of getting people to listen. Yeah. But I mean, I could have a million chat up lines right now, sort of thing. Like, oh, even when I like, oh, how can I help you make? I could probably come up with a million right now, like because I've practiced this kind of stuff so many times since I was a kid, and I'm 43 now. So yeah, it's been 30 years of practicing.
I mean, it could be quite amusing, I suppose. I mean, we could role play. You be the atheist, and
okay. Me be an atheist. Okay, go on then.
Yeah, I mean, just just to kind of, if you remember their responses, their uncooperative responses. So I'm you, and you're this white guy who doesn't much like Muslims, and you come up and I say, you're not Muslim, are you?
I wouldn't even start with that. It's like it's some aggressive, like, what's wrong with that? So
no.
yeah.
I mean, but you're just getting engagement, right? Because if you could say, have you considered becoming Muslim?
Then I
would you like to talk to me about it? I mean, they'll probably walk off, I suppose. But if you,
yeah. I mean, I would try to engage them with something that would help them. Like, okay, I'm a happiness teacher. Can I give you a happiness tip? That's it. Like, catch them. Like something that would potentially take 5 seconds of their time, because otherwise they want to stop. And they don't even know me. Why would they give me even 5 seconds? So like,
yeah, I suppose so. So you have to kind of make them want to ask a question or say something back. So you engage them in a dialogue. Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
So
yeah.
Okay. We'll just do this other thing, and I'm the sort of skinhead, and you come up to me and say, would you like a happiness tip? And I'll say, yeah. What you got, mate?
Okay, so
it had better be good.
Oh, so I'll try.
Hurry up, then.
What's important to
I
you?
ain't got all day.
What's important to you?
What?
What's important to you, skinhead, my skinhead friend?
I want to be happy.
Okay, good. So, do skinheads believe in nationalism?
Yeah, we'd like our country back.
Yeah. So I love. Are you a white skinhead by any chance, or just a brown Malaysian one?
A white skinhead, let's say.
Okay, cool. By the way, I've had those kind of conversations with skinheads who turned up and like looked like you're going to beat you up, but they turn out to be very friendly. So anyway, um, so I want you to have your country back because I want to move to a sunnier country. This melon doesn't work for England. So, but what I really want for you is to have kids. Do you have any kids? And you say no because these white skinheads are all got way too much testosterone because they don't have any proper relationships. So I really want to hook you up with some hot chick. Could I help you out?
You don't sound like, you don't seem like a guy with any connections to hot chicks.
Oh, really? But
Maybe,
I'm going to get my second wife in 2 months. 2 wives at the same
well,
time.
I,
So I
I
do have
don't
some
think
connections,
I
even though I
might.
look like a nerd.
Well, marriage isn't on my mind.
Oh, really? Why not?
Mm, Well, the cost of everything and, the unreliability of women in relationships. I'm looking for something more short term and cheaper.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but prostitutes are really expensive. Like, imagine, like, did you know that married people have the most sex, right? So, and that, did you know that?
Well, it's the most expensive form of sex. That's not
Really?
on my mind at the moment. I know lots of unhappy, unmarried people.
But
And
let's say you want sex, right? You'd have to pay I don't know how much for every bit of sex you have with a prostitute, and it's really crap sex. You have to use a condom, which is not proper sex. You can't. There's probably loads of other stuff you can't do to avoid getting an STD. Do you know what I mean? And it's somebody who doesn't even like you. They have to pay them to have sex with you, right? So. I mean, it's not the best kind of sex. I mean, do you think it's really good sex having
well,
sex with a prostitute who might have loads of STDs?
if you're telling me to get married, have you got a list of women I might fancy marrying?
So now we're talking, right? Come down to the mosque. We'll sort you out.
Yes, yes, say the lots of white converts.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yes. I
anyway,
mean,
it got made some progress, and
yeah,
usually there
yeah.
is people if they stick around for a little bit. There's I've had loads of people. It's very common that people walk past and they try to hurl an insult, and I'll catch them in a nice way.
Mhm.
So, oh, how can I answer a question? And then they're like end up agreeing. It's not uncommon at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought of a good chat up line for these white men, and I think that they should start by saying, "I'm not interested in having sex with immoral women," and that's their chat up line. I
Wow.
think that that's bound to get some
Who
engagement.
says that? Who says that to
No,
whom?
the bloke says that to a likely looking woman. Um, yeah.
A bloke would say that to. That's a really
Well,
weird thing
after
to
a bit
say.
of banter,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I
Maybe that
think
works. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think if you did say that, I mean, the woman would say, "Are you calling me immoral?" And
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe some
I think these things
conversations.
need to be discussed.
Maybe,
Morality
yeah.
is a way of testing somebody's principles and their political views, right? I mean, basically, if you're meeting somebody, you want to know how they think and how they behave, and the
hmm.
quickest way is to have a political discussion. Though a
I
lot of
don't
men
think
think,
women have political views. Really, they don't. They're just interested in if you're going to be kind to them. Really, that's it.
yeah, but you don't want them to be, too much of a feminist, right?
Sure. So, there's two things. So I found that just by being kind, lots of women tend to be attracted to me, right? But that doesn't mean I'm interested in all the people who are interested in me because so there's two stages. One, getting people interested in you, and the second is filtering them out. So like, I'm not interested in this person, not interested in that person, because you don't want to have a nightmare relationship.
Of all
So
these
you want
women
to
chasing you.
feminist. I think just being polite is nice. It works a lot, like you said
Yes,
yourself.
yes. So I suppose
Polite and kind.
yeah, I guess a lot of men are shy, or they say the wrong thing, or or they drink a lot to get over their shyness.
Yeah.
But I suppose if you can,
I think it is a problem that there aren't enough social situations where men can kind of chat up women in the first place. I think like work is not. I don't think work is a good place because it's kind of sensitive, isn't it? So I don't know what other
it used to be the
scenarios
place
there are.
where people would meet their, lifelong partner, because at least with work, you get a chance to observe their character and spend some time studying them. But maybe you can't
Yeah, maybe I'm
assess
wrong
these.
because I try to avoid those situations where I'm kind of trying to. Yeah, I don't want a relationship within the place I'm working. I think.
Yeah, it could get very awkward. So
But I'll
so
tell you what, strangely, so I might people get the wrong end of the stick with me. So I might be trying to preach Islam to them and they'll think I'm hitting on them or something. Like, oh, this will be, I don't know. I'll just be talking about just anything. So I think what happens is generally having a meaningful and deep conversation about what the other person wants. So the other person feels heard, and then they feel kind of attracted to you, which is I've watched a video about somebody who's written there's a guy who wrote, I think, the 48 laws of power or something like that. He's written a second book. He's really famous about what's the word, like not hitting on people, like attracting people. I can't remember what the word is, right? And he said all you have to do is let them feel heard. So maybe that's what I do.
yeah, be a good listener and show that you're interested in what they say, and respond appropriately, like you understood what they said and want to know more, I guess.
Yeah, but not, yeah. So that is useful, but also have something useful to say and meaningful to say, and show that you're a developed human being, not like a man child, which is a lot of what people are. If you're just wanking off to porn all the time, you haven't really developed, and you're not really showing yourself as like a potential husband, like a grown up, which is what women want.
Yes, I guess a lot of women don't quite dare to say that, because a lot of people who are looking for a long-term partner, a marriage partner, are afraid to say that. They kind of,
Right.
because it
Yeah.
seems to try hard or something, bit too serious.
I wonder
Bit
why
too.
lots of people are watching today. Normally, it's like one person watching, so 15 people. What do you think?
I
What's that all
think,
about? The title?
I don't know, but maybe the fact that I didn't live stream it to my channel, and I live streamed it to my Twitter account, might have affected the view
Okay.
account. Maybe.
Okay. Cool. Hopefully. I mean,
There
do
9
comment
viewers.
if anybody's
There are
interested.
9 viewers on the Twitter live stream. Just
Okay,
to
cool.
say. Oh, the 13 views.
So just for people watching, if you've got any comments, questions, we like to be helpful. So feel free to do that if you like. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm trying to give as much value as possible in terms of the title. So I've already kind of, I mean, could you tell me what you've understood by beyond the finishing line, a new way to live? I think I've kind of expressed this idea. Do you get the finishing line is like a goal thing, like, oh, if I just achieve this thing, I will be successful. So that's what I mean by finishing line. Does the title make sense at least?
Yes, I suppose it may be too metaphorical for some. I don't know.
Okay.
It may be too abstract.
Okay, fine. So just for people who don't understand, people have lots of finishing lines in their lives. It's like, if only I achieved this, then I'll be happy. I would have succeeded. I finally got to my destination. But life doesn't stop halfway through or a quarter way through when you achieve your goal. So that's what I mean by finishing lines. Don't have these finishing lines as if you finally achieved something. You should be on infinite journeys. those are the kind of things that make you happy. So you can have these things on the way, that might get you towards kind of further along this infinite journey, and the only infinite journey that will make you happy is God, and that's the new way to live that I'm trying to promote, yeah.
Okay.
That's the title explained.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, we can carry on sidetracking if you like, or whatever, different directions. Maybe that's interesting to people, about how to chat up women or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not particularly, I don't know if I'm particularly good at it, but there was the person who talked about it. He said that one of the best people who was, I don't know, in his studies at chatting up women is just being genuine. Like, you're being so open and genuine, people are drawn to that, and I think that's very rare, for anybody to be genuine. Most people are just trying to be kind of acceptable, and it's very
Yeah, I
boring.
suppose chat up lines are too try hard and too artificial and puts too much pressure on the woman. So I don't know. I mean, it might even be too old hat for people. Yeah, because men are. I don't know.
Maybe the problem with the
I
chat
don't
up
know about
line.
these things, do I?
Maybe the problem with the chat up line is just trying to get to a target straight away. It's like, oh, I'm going to say this one thing and she will fall in love with me. It's like, that's a stupid way of looking at like another human being. Like, just have a conversation, get to know each other, forget the chat up line. Just get to know each other.
Yeah, because really you want to engage in a conversation with her for long enough to know that she's sort of all right. Because that's the whole point, isn't it? To talk to her. And maybe if you like her, you might ask her out for a date. But first you need to, check her out too. I mean, I guess you both.
Yeah, you know what? So that reminds me, I can't remember which expert it was, on which many of these podcasts I watch, but just by saying, by not being overly agreeable, actually makes you more attractive. Like, you actually have an opinion, and you will say, no, I don't agree with this, but not like in an argumentative way. It's like, oh, I don't agree with this. Like, for example, when I was in Ghana, I was spending one day trying to find my second wife before I found the person I did. And we were talking about like relationships. And I said, she was telling me that, I believe in romance. I said, no, romance doesn't work. I think it's all about being kind every day and stuff like that. And I think that's a very attractive thing to say, right? Because it's very realistic, and it means, like, it shows that you're serious by being even like, not the word disagreeable, but by disagreeing, you're saying you've got a point of view that you care about, that you're serious about. If you just say, oh yeah, I totally agree with you, that doesn't sound like you stand for anything, that you really even believe what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you're willing to contradict the other person to say this is what love is, that means that shows how serious you are. And what happened as a result was that lady said, oh, talk to my sister, and the sister said, oh, here's my number and let's have lunch tomorrow, that kind of thing. So it works.
Yes. I think I have advised men to just sort of, not hide their views too much, because then you feel you have to keep it up, later. Like things like, I'm actually a Trump supporter, that sort of thing, and think, you're not going to mention that because you don't want women to run away, blah blah. But really, if you're a Trump supporter, you want your wife to be a Trump supporter, not a Harris supporter.
Sure.
So, but some people might feel, oh, it's far too controversial. I don't want to get into that on the first meeting, sort of thing.
Yeah, I really don't. I think you've said this as well. I don't think women are that political. They don't really understand what's happening in politics, and they don't really care enough. They might just wave a flag a little bit, but they've got a lot more interest. Women are just generally interested in their own lives, children, and that kind of stuff. They're not interested in the big picture. So just focus on them and relationships. Forget Trump,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
If you might say, oh, Trump supports families, and then that'll probably win. Maybe if he does. I don't know what he supports right now, but
Yeah, no, but I mean, at some level, okay, maybe it's just a female thing. I just couldn't bear not to know, if he disagreed with me on important political matters. It just could not ever begin. I would just feel
oh
utter
yeah, no,
contempt
I'm not
for him.
saying that. I'm just saying using political stuff is like you don't have to go for disagreeable stuff. Just say just talk about what you do agree on, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to chat you up right now, right? So, but we're kind of going to run out. We're kind of over time. Okay, so what do you care about, Claire? What's important? What's the most important
Well, I
thing to you?
suppose, personally, I'll just imagine I'm at a
You don't have to do a
party.
squeaky woman's voice suddenly. You
Well,
can use it normal.
I suppose I enjoy history and politics and philosophy, and I think about whether things are right. It
Okay.
bothers me when they're not right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So tell me something about some historical thing that makes you upset. You said you care about history. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, there've been um, wars started by America, joined in by its vassal states. You see, it's already going, south already.
Sure, but the point is, all I'm doing is listening to you, and then I'll keep listening to what's really important to you, and then either I really disagree with you, and I'm like, I'm not talking to you, I'm not interested in you, sort of thing. Not really. Like I'll talk to you anyway as a human being, but like I'll be filtering you out one way or the other. But if I'm interested and I agree with what you're saying, I'll pursue that. And the good thing, I think, the effect of that is just by listening, people feel connected. That's a very, very rare thing nowadays. I think we did a whole stream on like listening. So if you can listen and not just listen, but like show you listen by responding and having an interesting conversation about the thing, let's say you're interested in, it's a win-win. I think you can barely lose unless you have a mental problem, right? I'm not saying an insult. Like if you got a mental problem, I'll be running away from you anyway. Like if you're wife material, like you're gonna be like you're willing to have children and stuff like or something like that. I don't know what you want to call wife material at the moment. Then that's good. But there are some people who just like I don't know, just not good for relationships. So anyway, my point is listen to people, connect with them, be interested in what the other person is talking about. I think it's very hard to lose that way. But from my
Yes,
experience.
being nice is and being a good listener is sort of, well, actually, not many people are good listeners because most people are more interested in telling you what they think than in listening to what you think. So yeah, just by being a good listener, you have the advantage over them.
Yeah.
The others.
And I think I mean the fact to support that is like loneliness is the biggest killer in London. That demonstrates how bad people are listening. Like if you can be the 1 in a million person actually is able to listen and to be interested in the other human being, like you're just demonstrating you're a decent human being, like people will be attracted to you automatically. And I think there was some psychologists who mentioned that the more spiritual you are, this is like from a just a non-religious point of view, the more you attract people. And why would that be? Just like logically, what does it mean to be spiritual? It means to be generous and kind and all these kind of things. These are very attractive things. Women want people who are generous because when they're pregnant and they're unable to do anything for themselves, they want to know there's a man for them that will take care of them, that will do lots of things for them, then doesn't get annoyed when she asks for the 100th thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are very practical, sensible things. So being religious, being godly, being kind, all this kind of stuff is going to make you very attractive. Please, guys, I'm just going to wind up the conversation. If you got any comments or questions, things that you would like us to talk about, please do put it in the comments. I'm going to be in London next week. Hopefully see you there, Claire. What do you think? Are you going to turn up to Speaker's Corner to meet me up?
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you again. That was where you first met.
Yeah, it is. Cool. Hopefully it won't be too rainy and stuff, but yeah, cool. All right. Yeah. See you there.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you very much, Claire. Appreciate your time.
Hey, you too. Bye.
Bye.